The insecure person has a compulsive need for order and stability and goes to great lengths to avoid the strange and the unexpected. The healthy person also seeks order and stability, but it is not the life or death necessity that it is for the neurotic. The mature person also has an interest in the new and the mysterious.
You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you're waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you got to jump. And here's the problem. I'm going to just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're going to hit them rocks. You're going to get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're going to get some cuts on you. You're going to be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open.
What happens is that life, like a tornado, spins us around with all of the different obligations and belief systems, ideas, demands that the world places on us. And we get lost in it. Just like you could imagine if you got picked up by a tornado. Right? What I'm asking you to do is to learn how to step out of the tornado.
And as Alice Walker said, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. People lose sight of the fact that we always get a choice. No matter what happens in your life, the one thing that you get to choose at all times is the meaning that you ascribe to it. No one can take that away.
And as you begin to discover the truth of who you are, whatever challenge that you're facing in life, and if you're living, you're facing some challenge, you'll begin to know that you're powerful and that you're a miracle maker.
Close the door to these destructive, limiting, defeating thoughts. But sometimes we believe them so long, they become a part of who we are. Imagine fear, worry, doubt, insecurity living in your house, dragging you down, stealing your joy, taking your peace. That may be the way it's been, but this is going to be a new day. It's time to do some house cleaning. You need to evict some tenants that have been living in your mind.
Would you agree that positive thinking won't let you do anything, but it will let you do everything better than negative thinking will? Positive thinking will permit you to use the qualities which you have. And when you use the qualities which you have, my friend, you can get the things in life that you really want.
People resist change because of tradition. Cambridge University professor F.M. Cornford said, "Nothing is ever done until everyone is convinced that it ought to be done, and has been convinced for so long that it is now time to do something else." Many people cling to tradition. The assumption is that if something is tradition, it must be a better way. But that's not necessarily so. Here's a riddle that shows what I mean. How many traditionalists does it take to change a light bulb? The answer is 4. 1 to change it, and 3 to talk about how wonderful the old bulb was. If a tradition connects you to other people or to your personal history, it can be a good thing. If it doesn't, then it may be time to try something else. Preparation points for successful change. The keys to dealing with change successfully are having a good attitude toward it and being prepared to meet it. The following ideas can help you to do those things. 1. Change will happen whether you like it or not. It's said that a Duke of Cambridge once said, "Any change at any time for any reason is to be deplored." I feel sorry for people like him. They have a hard time dealing with reality and experience a difficult life. Change is unavoidable. The only thing certain about tomorrow is that it will be different from today. If you doubt that, consider this. My grandfather had a farm. My parents had a garden. And I've got a can opener. It's a different world than it was 20 years ago, and it will be different in another 20. But the good news is that the world changes so fast that you couldn't stay wrong all the time if you tried. 2. Without change, there can be no improvement. I am not a proponent of change for its own sake. That's often a characteristic of restlessness and can be a symptom of personal inner conflict. Honestly, change can represent both possible opportunities and potential losses. Even though all progress brings change, not all change brings progress. But as leadership expert Max Dupree observed, we cannot become what we need by remaining what we are. If you desire growth, then you must embrace change. General Douglas MacArthur stated, "Life is a lively process of becoming. If you haven't added to your interests within the past year, if you are thinking the same old thoughts, relating the same personal experiences, having the same predictable reactions, rigor mortis of the personality has set in. If you don't change the direction you are going, then you're likely to end up where you're heading. When you want something you've never had, then you have to do something you've never done. That means changing."
It's virtually impossible to sustain the virtues for very long from the old state of consciousness, because the old state of consciousness is dominated by ego.
One of the greatest difficulties is handling this issue of ego and keeping it under control. So we need to reveal who we are, but we also need to master the art of who we are presented as our best, as it serves us and our children, as it serves us and our friends, as it serves us in our business.
Your conscious awareness. It's what looks out behind those eyeballs. What is that? It isn't cells. It's some kind of conscious awareness that you are. And make no mistake about it, you've occupied a whole lot of bodies already. If 99% of who you are, you can't touch and you can't feel and you can't smell, then what is it? Who is it? Where are you? What is this thing called your essence or who you are? And where does it go?
As scientists delve deeper into the nature of what causes things to be as they are, they find themselves immersed in an unseen world of infinite intelligence, acting in a lawful and purposeful manner. What we encounter in the physical world appears to be but a manifestation of invisible cause.
The kingdom of heaven, which I translated, as you may remember, as the dimension of formlessness or the dimension of spaciousness, is within you. And there's only one thing that matters, and that is to find within you that dimension of consciousness and then live from that dimension of consciousness.
But it is a constant and it never ends. But if we can make a personal appeal to ourselves, I want to constantly work on developing the positive side of my nature and do my best to suppress that darker side that would not allow me to be most of what I can possibly be. I think that's what's important.
Of course, it is better that somebody should at least attempt to cultivate the various virtues. To cultivate this, it's a wonderful intention, and it's better than not trying to cultivate it, but ultimately you won't really succeed unless there's a shift in consciousness in you that is primary.
Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion, not to do what someone else says. Take what someone else says, process it, think about it, ponder it. If it makes you wonder, if it makes you think, then it's valuable. Then when you go take action, make sure that the action is not what somebody told you to do. Make sure the action is the product of your own conclusion.
A lot of people say, I want to quieten my mind, and then they struggle in meditation. But trying to quieten the mind is a thought. So it's also the mind. So you can't use the mind to quieten the mind, right? All you have to do is ask yourself, what am I aware of right now? And then favor the awareness instead of the experience, because the experience is a projection of the mind. Awareness is independent. Awareness is infinite possibilities. It's limitless. It's beyond imagination. It's infinite. It's the real you that recycles as body-mind. People talk about reincarnation, but reincarnation is happening every second. Every thought that you have is a reincarnated thought. Every perception that you have is actually a recycled perception. We just get bamboozled as soon as we're given a name. So, I was given a name, Deepak Chopra. Now, that is a symbol of who I am. It's not who I am. But, if you repeat somebody's name enough, you're David, you're David, you're David, then the poor kid is screwed because he thinks he's David, when in fact he's the infinite being with a name called David. So, you're not your name. Your name is a symbol of who you are. If I'm looking at a menu in a book, and all these beautiful dishes are there, I can't eat the menu, okay? So we use words as symbols, and of course, spiritual literature says first there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God, became the Word, or whatever. There's some truth in that. As soon as you use words, you create form. So if I asked you, what is this? You'd say it's a book, but actually it's a color. It's a shape. It's a form. If a baby was looking at this book, it would be squiggles, shapes, forms, and colors. No idea that this is a book and the baby is called David. No idea. It's a joyful experience because the baby would see this and everything else as itself and would fall, in fact, is in love with existence. All you have to look at is a baby. The only time it says, is when it's hungry or it's wet. Otherwise, it's in bliss. And why is it in bliss? Because it hasn't been bamboozled by constructs. If people could understand the magnificence of who they are, that their fundamental state is bliss and joy and awareness and existence, which is timeless. See, the body is in time, the mind is in time, every thought is in time, every perception is in time, every image you have in your mind is in time, except you, the one that's awareness. So once you get to that, this is what is called the spiritual experience. It's also actually the original religious experience. Whether it's Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha, it doesn't matter. The religious experience is just three things. First, you know yourself beyond body and mind. Second, you have the emergence of Platonic truth, which is goodness, harmony, peace, empathy, compassion, love, kindness, joy. And the third religious experience, not religion, I'm not talking about religious dogma, religious experience, loss of the fear of death. If you have those three things, you know your true self, you have the emergence of what we call Platonic values, truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity, and you lose the fear of death. What left? You're free.
There are two fundamental attitudes toward life and its sorrows. Those with the first attitude blame the world. Those with the second ask what they could do differently. It's much easier and much more gratifying to your basest desires to blame someone else for your misery.
Life is full of ups and downs, disappointments, failures, obstacles, and stumbling blocks. Trust me when I tell you that you will need to be mentally tough to overcome and conquer some of the hurdles life will throw your way.
It's called life. And here's what the key to it, that you have to work on yourself. I read every book I could on how to heal yourself. I listened to every speech. I talked to people. I went to lectures. I mean, everything dealing with healing, I fed my mind. Life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you don't want will automatically take over.
You are the only person that can encourage you to get back up. Look in the mirror right now and tell yourself, I will fight through this. I will make it, and I won't give up. Life, you thought you had me down. But this is the moment I change my mind. I won't let anything keep me down.
When you want something new and fear pipes up and tells you you can't have it, you gotta say, yes, I can. When you want to try something new and fear pipes up and tells you you shouldn't do it, you gotta say, yes, I should. When you want to go somewhere new or be with someone new and fear pipes up and says you won't do it, you gotta say, yes, I will.
I will never quit, because if you quit, you're done. You may still be alive walking around on this earth. You're done. I will never quit. I will persevere and I will thrive on adversity. My team expects me to be physically harder and mentally stronger than our opponents. I hold myself to that standard. I will be physically harder and mentally stronger than anything that comes against me, my family, my business, my brothers, my sisters, my team. I will be the one that is physically harder and mentally stronger, and I will work to maintain that position. You won't beat me. If knocked down, I will get back up every single time.
Every day, it's a selling job on you. It's possible. I can do this. I can make this happen. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. It's possible.
Yo, we all are great. We all should think that we're great. There's no reason for you to not think that you're great. If you don't think you're great, ask yourself why. Why don't you think the highest of yourself? When you do, people have no choice but to follow suit. You got no choice but to follow suit.
Well, a lot of people, they base it on their past. They base it on the life that they've experienced up until this moment.
Makes you better.
Yeah, it does make you better.
Makes you better, makes you smarter.
Yeah.
A life
they need
with
to
no
hear a guy
rocks.
like you say it.
Yeah, man.
That's what's interesting about it. That's what's interesting about life. You can hear a guy like you say that, and then it changes your perspective, and then you'll go out and take action that you might not have taken before.
I got a 585 on my SAT, confessions. They give you 400 for putting your name on the paper. It's a true story. I guessed ABACADA. I did abacadabra all the way down. True story. Swear to God. Hand on my mother's grave. ABACADA. All the way down. I didn't care because it was a class trip that same day. I wanted to go Great Adventure. Was told that not taking my SAT seriously would prohibit me from furthering myself in life. That's what I was told. At the moment I said that maybe I should have applied myself. Maybe I should have did different. When I saw all my friends get their test scores back and they were ecstatic. 800s, 900s, 960s. Everybody's going to college. Felt like the biggest idiot in the world. The biggest idiot in the world. Because the same people that I went and rushed to go to Great Adventure with, they had taken the SAT the week before. They already got their work done. They did everything they were supposed to do. So that moment of fun was real fun for them. I was the only dumbass that didn't prioritize and take care of my So I'm the only one going to community college. Everybody else off to Villanova, Temple University, Drexel University. God damn. I just got left behind. Why didn't y'all tell me that y'all did it the week before? How come y'all ain't tell me that we was serious about the college? Y'all ain't tell me y'all was trying to go to Temple or Drexel? Oh, wait. It's because my life isn't their life. They're focused on themselves. Wow, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Hey, Jack, go sit by yourself and figure it out, because this is where you should be. Lesson learned. Any opportunity given should be taken serious from this point. Because if not, you can find yourself feeling just like this. It's not to get down on myself at the moment. I learn from it. Now, if I gotta take a goddamn test, you best believe I'm studying for that test, because I don't want the feeling like I'm the guy that didn't prepare. Now I got a story to tell my kids about what it feels like to be the kid in class that didn't prepare, that's got the worst grade when they give all those grades back. But it's because of my experience. I don't look down on those moments. You take those moments, you make the best of them, because they're life lessons. It's that simple. You're saying it's positive, but it's really just simplicity that's real. It's real.
It's real, and it's your life experience, and it's your life's lessons.
It's unbelievable how little genuine encouragement many people need, and how they had none. No one ever said to them and meant it. It's not okay for you to be a weak loser. It's not okay. And the reason it's not okay is because you could be way more than that. And it's a crime, an ethical crime, for you to allow all that necessary potential to go to waste. It hurts you. It hurts your family. It hurts the world. Really, really, it does. And people think, oh, okay, I get it. And they do get it because they know. If you want to know something about yourself, sit on your bed one night and say to yourself, you got to mean this. Like, you got to be desperate. This is no game, this. It's like, my life is not everything I want it to be. And perhaps it's not everything that I need it to be. And by need, I mean, my life is so unbearable that the suffering that's attendant upon that is make me nihilistic, cynical, bitter, resentful, homicidal, genocidal, unable to have a good relationship, prone to punish people for their virtues because of my jealousy, driving the proclivity to see evil everywhere except within my own heart. Like, these are problems, man. And you ask yourself, you sit on the bed and say, okay, man, I'm ready to learn something. Like, what's one thing I'm doing wrong that I know I'm doing wrong, that I could fix, that I would fix? It's like, you meditate on that, you'll get an answer. And it won't be one you want, but it'll be the necessary one. You know, and it's often something that will point you to small things. So Carl Jung said, people in the modern world don't see God because they don't look low enough. And so imagine you're in your messy bedroom, you know, and you're sitting on the edge of the bed trying to have an honest dialogue with yourself. And the little voice says, you know, it's pretty disgusting in here. And you think, well, I'm way above such trivial niceties as organizing my room. It's like, well, that's pride. That's arrogance. If you're above organizing what's actually yours, how in the world are you ever going to organize anything else? And so you get on your knees and you think, well, it's time to, you know, take a brush to the toilet. And maybe that's where you start. And that works. Like, that works. You start making those micro improvements, like real micro improvements, real on the ground, actual micro improvements, the things you know that are wrong, you'll improve unbelievably rapidly.
What's really interesting is self-value, real self-worth comes from doing hard things. We keep talking about self-love. We keep talking about loving yourself, believing in yourself. That happens naturally when you go through something difficult. Everyone who's listening right now, I guarantee you, has been through something difficult. Maybe they lost a friend. Maybe they've been through cancer. Maybe they lost their job and had to rebuild. Maybe they completely got destroyed during the pandemic and had to figure everything out with their health. The point is, we've all done hard things, and self-worth and self-value comes from recognizing the hardship you've been through and the growth that you made during that time. Now, if you're someone who's listening and saying, Jay, well, I'm not sure I've been through anything that challenging. Well, that's your challenge. Go and figure out what it is that you want to do that's hard. Is it developing a new skill? Is it getting a qualification? Is it starting that business or dream that you've always wanted to do? What's that difficult thing you're going to do on your own, with your friends, with the support of whoever's around you, but not with the crutch or the handicap of a partner? What are you going to build as a skill, as a tool, as a value yourself that's going to make you say, I've done something? And that's the beginning of it. The beginning is, I've done something and I did that and I can do that. And when you do that, yes, you're going to validate the wrong things. You're going to give yourself praise for the wrong things. You're going to go through ego. You're going to do all of that. But there's still a belief, if I can do hard things, I can do hard things by myself. and I know what value I bring to a relationship.
Most people don't want to be really wealthy. What they do want is they don't want to have any financial concerns. If they want to buy a new suit, they can go and get one. If they want to take a trip, they can take the trip. If they want a new car, they can get the new car. They don't want to just run out and spend or buy. They don't want to have any financial concerns. 2, they want to wake up in the morning excited about how they're going to spend their day. And the 3rd, they want to mix with people who are upbeat and creatively productive. These are the 3 things that people really want.
Well, a friend of mine spent 18 years studying the biographies of more than 500 men and women who had started with nothing and became successful. And he was looking for the common denominator of success, and he found it. He found that every single one of these people throughout their lives absolutely believed that they were going to be a big success. They absolutely believed they were going to be a big success when they grew up, and no matter what happened to them in their adult lives, and they never lost sight of that. Like the 3 wise men following the star, they felt that everything that happened was part of the process. Every setback was a lesson. Every pain was something sent to teach them something that would be helpful, and they never stopped believing in themselves. So if you could buy one belief, the belief is this, is that you are destined to be a big success, that you have incredible potential, that you're surrounded by incredible opportunities, and that you're going to be a huge success in life, and everything that's happened up to now is part of your preparation. So, challenge your self-limiting beliefs. Don't ever say, I can't do that, or I'm not good at that, or something else. No, wait and say, wait, what if that's totally false? What if deep down inside of you have the ability to be extraordinary at something that's important to you? Whether it's skiing or skydiving or mathematics or selling or earning money or running a business. You probably have more ability than you could dream of, but don't sell yourself short. Now, in the Bible, it says, according to your faith, it is done unto you. That's one of the most important principles of the New Testament. In the Old Testament, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, and the heart stands for the subconscious mind, which means a deep belief, so is he, or so is she. William James says, beliefs create the actual fact. Is that if you have the belief, it actually becomes the fact, because you always act in a manner consistent with the belief, and as a result, you get the results consistent with your actions. And you can control your beliefs. Is it easy to change your beliefs, especially old negative? No, it's not easy. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it easy to lose weight? No. Is it possible? Of course it is.
If you want to become successful in life, young man, he said, number 1, you got to change your mindset. He said, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Number 2, practice OQP, only quality people. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. And the 3rd thing he said, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are.
I want you to ponder these questions. What are you becoming? The big question is not what am I getting paid here? The big question is, what am I becoming? Because true happiness is not contained in what you get. Happiness is contained in what you become.
Are we living the lives we want to live, or are we living stereotyped lives based on phony values? Usually they're a combination of both, a kind of compromise which says surely other people must have some idea of what constitutes the good life. After all, there are so many of them. But when we look closer, we see that they're living shadow lives, as Mumford calls them. In competition, ice skating, you've seen a couple match each other's movements almost perfectly. It's called shadow skating, I believe. They try to match each other's movements so perfectly that each might be the other's shadow.
You know, everybody has a different temperament and personality, and it's something that has to be developed, over a period of time. If you're too shy, you should really learn to push that into a small corner and speak up more. If you're a little too loud, maybe you should, calm down just a little bit. But we shouldn't try to just radically become someone else. But that's what sophistication and civilization is supposed to do, is to make us civil.
And all so-called civilized peoples have increasingly become crazy and self-destructive. because through excessive thinking they have lost touch with reality. A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts. So he loses touch with reality and lives in a world of illusion. By thoughts, I mean specifically chatter in the skull, perpetual and compulsive repetition of words, of reckoning and calculating.
We become what we think about most of the time, and that's the strangest secret. This is why thinking is so vital. This is why a goal is so important, because we will become that. This is why people who set goals achieve them. The trouble with men is not in achieving their goals. They do that. It's in establishing them. The only thing about a man that is a man is his mind. Everything else you can find in a pig or a horse. It's true. And so if we're going to develop something, this is a good place to start. To think deliberately and with a purpose. To spend a little time each day before a blank sheet of paper with our goal perhaps written at the top, and come up with some fresh, new, and exciting ideas.
How to get the results you want. The principal reasons for failure are lack of confidence and too much effort. Many people block answers to their prayers by failing to fully comprehend the workings of their subconscious mind. When you know how your mind functions, you gain a measure of confidence. You must remember, whenever your subconscious mind accepts an idea, it immediately begins to execute it. It uses all its mighty resources to that end and mobilizes all the mental and spiritual laws of your deeper mind. This law is true for good or bad ideas. Consequently, if you use it negatively, it brings trouble, failure, and confusion. When you use it constructively, it brings guidance, freedom, and peace of mind. The right answer is inevitable when your thoughts are positive, constructive, and loving. From this, it is perfectly obvious that the only thing you have to do in order to overcome failure is to get your subconscious to accept your idea or request by feeling its reality now, and the law of your mind will do the rest. Turn over your request with faith and confidence, and your subconscious will take over and answer for you. You will always fail to get results by trying to use mental coercion. Your subconscious mind does not respond to coercion. It responds to your faith or conscious mind acceptance. Your failure to get results may also arise from such statements as, "Things are getting worse. I will never get an answer. I see no way out. It is hopeless. I don't know what to do. I'm all mixed up." When you use such statements, you get no response or cooperation from your subconscious mind. Like a soldier marking time, you neither go forward nor backward. In other words, you don't get anywhere. If you get into a taxi and give a half dozen different directions to the driver in 5 minutes, he would become hopelessly confused and probably would refuse to take you anywhere. It is the same when working with your subconscious mind. There must be a clear-cut idea in your mind. You must arrive at the definite decision that there is a way out, a solution to the vexing problem in sickness. Only the infinite intelligence within your subconscious knows the answer. When you come to that clear-cut conclusion in your conscious mind, your mind is then made up, and according to your belief, it is done unto you. Easy does it. A house owner once remonstrated with a furnace repairman for charging $200 for fixing the boiler. The mechanic said, "I charged 5 cents for the missing bolt and $199.95 for knowing what was wrong." Similarly, your subconscious mind is the master mechanic, the all-wise one, who knows ways and means of healing any organ of your body as well as your affairs. Decree health, and your subconscious will establish it. But relaxation is the key. Easy does it. Do not be concerned with details and means, but know the end result. Get the feel of the happy solution to your problem, whether it is health, finances, or employment. Remember how you felt after you had recovered from a severe state of illness? Bear in mind that your feeling is the touchstone of all subconscious demonstration. Your new idea must be felt subjectively in a finished state, not the future, but as coming about now.
What would it be like to be a fully mature, self-actualizing, fully functioning human being? This is the ideal, busy, happy person with all his faculties smoothly functioning in perfect cooperation. No wars going on inside, no hang-ups, no neuroses. The ideal productive person. These self-actualized people are more accurate in their prediction of future events. They see more fully, and their judgment extends to an understanding of art, music, politics, and philosophy. Yet they have a kind of humility, the ability to listen carefully to others, to admit they don't know everything, and that others can teach them.
It's so important for you and me to be stretched beyond where we are. It's too easy to just comfortably sit and stop growing. It often doesn't seem to be that necessary to make the push, to make the effort to learn and to grow and to challenge yourself. But let me give you something to think about. The last few years of the 20th century are going to demand a lot more mental vigor and mental activity. The competition and complications of life are going to truly challenge the full capacity of our mentality. So, stretch your mind.
What we encounter in the physical world appears to be but a manifestation of invisible cause. The distinguished psychologist and incidentally the inventor of the famous lie detector, William Moulton Marston, wrote, "For years, as a psychologist, I've thought in the careers of great and everyday people the inner springs that make for successful living. There are two which seem to me of prime importance. The first is plain old hard work, governed by cool, logical thoughtfulness. The other is sudden, warm, impulsive action."
From birth up until the time we are about 18, our learning curve is dramatic, and our capacity to learn during this period is just staggering. We learn a tremendous amount, very fast. But guess when this learning curve starts to taper off? Here's where it usually levels off. When we get our first job, if there are no more exams to take, if there's no demand to get out paper and pencil, why read any more books? Now you will just learn by some experience. But can you imagine what would happen if you kept an accelerated learning curve all the rest of your life? Be that unusual person who keeps up his learning curve.
Now, there's a big difference between what you believe and what you know. Everything that you know is something that you have made conscious contact with. So there's nobody out there watching. There's nobody in this world who knows how to swim, who learned it by somebody else telling them that you can swim, or by watching Mark Spitz go through the water, or by observing other people doing it. You may remove some of the doubt, but you will never know how to swim until you get in the water and blub around a few times and then do it. And then you'll have a knowing, and that knowing is something that you'll never lose.
Succeeding in life is not usual. It's unusual. You need to develop some unusual habits to earn the outstanding rewards.
The subconscious mind and wealth. The trouble with most people is that they have no invisible means of support when business falls away, or the stock market drops, or they lose their investments. They seem helpless. The reason for such insecurity is that they do not know how to tap the subconscious mind. They are unacquainted with the inexhaustible storehouse within. A man with a poverty-type mind finds himself in poverty-stricken conditions. Another man with a mind filled with ideas of wealth is surrounded with everything he needs. It was never intended that man should lead a life of indigence. You can be wealthy, have everything you need, and plenty to spare. Your words have power to cleanse your mind of wrong ideas and to instill right ideas in their place. I have talked to many people during the past 35 years. Their usual complaint is, "I have said for weeks and months that I am wealthy. I am prosperous, and nothing has happened." I discovered that when they said, "I am prosperous, I am wealthy," they felt within that they were lying to themselves. One man told me, "I have affirmed until I am tired that I am prosperous. Things are now worse. I knew when I made the statement that it was obviously not true." His statements and those of the others were rejected by the conscious mind, and the very opposite of what they affirmed and claimed was made manifest. Autosuggestion succeeds best when it is specific, and it does not produce a mental conflict or argument Hence, the statements made by this man made matters worse, because they suggested his lack. The subconscious accepts only your convictions and beliefs, not just words or statements. The dominant idea or belief is always accepted by the subconscious mind. The following is a way to overcome this conflict for those who have this difficulty. Make this practical statement frequently, particularly prior to sleep. By day and by night, I am being prospered in all of my interests. This will not arouse any argument, because it does not contradict the subconscious mind's impression of financial lack. I suggested to one businessman whose sales were very low, and he was greatly worried, that he sit down in his office, get quiet, and repeat this statement over and over again. My sales are improving every day. I am advancing, progressing, and getting wealthier every day. This statement engaged the cooperation of the conscious and subconscious mind. Results followed. The above is a very simple, unique way of impressing the subconscious mind with the idea of wealth. Perhaps you are saying as you read this chapter, I need wealth and success. This is what you do. Repeat for about 5 minutes to yourself 3 or 4 times a day. Wealth, success. These words have tremendous power. They represent the inner power of the subconscious mind. Anchor your mind on this substantial power within you. Then conditions and circumstances corresponding to their nature and quality will manifest in your life. You are not saying, I am a success, or I am wealthy. You are dwelling on real powers within you. There is no conflict in the mind when you say, wealth or success. Furthermore, the feeling of wealth and success will well up within you as you dwell upon these ideas. The feeling of wealth produces wealth. The feeling of being successful produces success. Keep this in mind at all times.
If you don't know what you don't want, you can't know what you do want. Contrast is what causes you to focus the more into becoming. That's what creation is. It's focus. Because creation happens with thought. We know you think it happens with your action because you move things around and you get stuff done. But the creation, the true creation, is happening through your thought in conjunction with your source energy.
You cannot change conditions or circumstance. You don't have to let them control you. We can't control what's going on outside, but we can control what's going on inside.
As you think, so shall you be. 7 little words that I think are perhaps the most important things that we can learn and master in our lives. This old proverb notion that I become what I think about all day long. And once you know that what you think about is what expands, you start getting real careful about what you think about. You don't allow your thoughts to be on anything that you don't want or that you wouldn't want to have manifest or show up for you in your life.
So whatever you wish to do, you must bring yourself to a moment of joy and clarity within yourself. At that moment, what you decide, even if you die, you must go by that. Whenever your emotions go up and down, your mind says many things. That's not important. In the moment of clarity, when I'm saying joy, because when you're happy, you're not compulsive. When you're very happy and clear, at that time, if you look at things and see, yes, this is what is more sensible for me, just do that. It doesn't matter if it feels like hell, because that's where your well-being is. When you're in different states of compulsiveness, if you make decisions as to which way to turn, you will be endlessly lost.
That the way that we speak actually influences the way that we think. But perhaps even more importantly, number 2, he said the way that we speak influences what we think. That our thoughts, what we are capable of thinking, are actually linked to the way our neurons are being wired.
Got better day by day and week by week and month by month, and I'm asking you to do the same thing until you can develop a long arm and a long reach, until you can develop influence that won't quit. Touch people next year you couldn't touch this year. Touch people now you couldn't touch before. Conduct a meeting now you couldn't conduct before. Heart and soul now mixed in there that wasn't there, missing before. I'm asking all of you to get better in spite of the winters, in spite of the downturn, the money downturn, the social downturn, the personal downturn, whatever it is. Just get stronger. Get better. The key is not to wish for a better winter. The key is to wish for more strength, more wisdom, more courage, get better, get wiser, get stronger.
We're optimizing the conversation between the heart and the brain, between your heart and your brain. 3 steps. The first step is to simply shift your awareness from your mind into your heart. And what I've found is in the Western traditions, for many people, that's easier said than done. I'll ask people, are you in your heart? And they'll say, yep, I'm in my heart. But what they are really doing is they're still in their brain thinking about what it would be like if they're in their heart. This is where the indigenous traditions come in. Our ancestors told us, and when I spend time with my indigenous friends, I say, how do you guys do this? And they say it helps if you can gently touch your heart center physically in a way that's comfortable for you. In the Mayan traditions, you see an open palm right on the heart. In many of the Middle Eastern traditions, you see the same thing. In the Buddhist traditions, you see a prayer mudra that physically touches the sternum. The key is, any of those things creates a gentle touch, a physical sensation right over the heart center, and your awareness will always go to the place where you feel the sensation. That's the key. So if you can create a touch over your heart, your awareness will go there. First step. Second step, very simple. Slow your breathing a little bit slower than typical, maybe 5 seconds inhale, 5 seconds exhale. And here's why that's powerful. Because the only time you would ever slow your breathing and breathe in that way is when you feel safe. When you feel that you're in a place that's safe and you're not threatened and you're not vigilant of your surroundings. So you're telling your body you're in a place that's safe. Slow your breathing. Third step, and this is the key, is to begin to feel the feeling that creates 0.1 hertz. Feel the feeling that sets up the coherence between your heart and your brain. How do we do that? I gave it away earlier. We've already mentioned it. Scientists have found at the Institute of Heart Math, their researchers have found that there are 4 key words that work almost 100% of the time for everyone. Appreciation for anything or anyone. Gratitude for anything or anyone. Care and compassion. If you can feel one or some combination of those feelings in your heart while you're breathing as if your breath is coming from your heart, touching your heart center, now you're setting up this communication between the heart and the brain. Now you are triggering those neurons to begin to reach out and find other neurons to strengthen this connection. And that's why I mentioned before, it takes about 72 hours, 3 days to build these networks. So that means the more you do what we're about to do right now, the stronger this connection becomes in your life.
Why do you think more people aren't happy, and what could one do to just begin the journey of loving, living, and mattering more and being happier?
I think let's begin with most people don't know what happiness is or where they get it. So I'll tell you what happiness is. Like the human desire and striving is we want a sense of aliveness. Mm-hmm. So you need to do more things that make you alive, make you vibrant, authentic, expressive, make you sense. For some people, it's adventure. They go mountain biking. It's like, wow, that just brought me back to life. You know, some people it's hanging out with great friends. Some people it's doing their passion. Some people it's, just honestly feeling and sensing the moment and meditating. Another thing that everyone wants is connection. Mm-hmm. Most people today lack the depth of happiness because most people lack a connection with other people. They are surface level relationships. Mm-hmm. You can't be really happy long term with surface level relationships. Mm-hmm. So you got to find out, how do I connect more deeply? And it can be simple things like you talked about. You know, with the kids, maybe less than the texting, call them. Have that moment of connection. It's nothing crazy. That's what you're striving for. You want happiness with your kids. You're going to call them. You're going to connect with them. So think about connection relationships, a level of depth. Then we want meaningful pursuits. When I go after that, I love that pursuit. And notice it doesn't say meaning. A lot of people just say meaning. I said, no, it's meaningful pursuits. Because a lot of people we know who are really successful, they've already had a meaningful life. They're miserable because they're not pursuing anything anymore. You got that. You got to have that pursuit, man. You got to find a pursuit. It has meaning to you. It brings you back to life. That's happiness. And then the middle of the triangle is the capital G, growth. If you don't have aliveness, you don't have connection, you don't have meaningful pursuits, and you don't have growth, you're miserable. We can bank on it. We can guarantee it. The research will reveal it every single time. But if we can get you a little bit more alive, a little bit more connected, a little bit more meaningful pursuits, and a little bit more growth, those like little bit in each of those, it's like a thunderous shift in your life. You're just like, whoa, little bits in those. But there's an access point. Why aren't most people happy? Let's say they did all those things. Still not happy? And they're just not here. Presence is the gateway to happiness. If I can't get you present, to feel it, to sense it, can't change. What most people want in real, like what they really want, all the people I work with, maybe the people you work with, what they really want, they'll never say it, and most of them never know it. What almost every human being wants is they want to feel the day more. They got all these activities they're blazing through. Get the kids to school. Get this off to there. Get that done. Answer that email. Get this project done. And even if they're moving towards things they find meaningful and they're awesome, but if they don't feel it, if they're literally not present, they're not mindful enough to sense it, to appreciate, to feel grateful, to feel the joy, to feel the ups, to feel the downs, to feel the miseries, to feel the wins. If you aren't feeling the day, you're just blazing through as an automaton. You're just blazing through the days, on autopilot. You're just like overwhelmed, stress, going through it, but you don't feel the day. I can't get you to be happy. So the gateway to all of happiness is always presence. Learn to be more present in the moment. Feel the moment, even the bad ones. You got to feel the day more so that when you get on your knees at night to pray, you felt the day. Dear God, thank you. I felt this day. I felt those lessons you gave me. I felt those gifts you gave me. Thank you for that connection. See, when you talk to God, if you don't feel, there's not a relationship there. God wants you to feel. It's a unique thing he gave us, not just the emotional reaction of an animal, but the ability to deeply appreciate feeling. Very human. So we've got to tap people back in the present to deeply appreciate the moments, the feelings, the events of life again. And I think that's why I'm so happy. It's like, I feel so much. Most people are so scared of that. I'm like, I love it. It makes me feel alive, right? How do you sense more aliveness? You got to feel the day, feel the moment.
Let other people lead small lives, but not you. Let everybody else cry over small hurts, but not you. Let everybody else argue over non-essentials, but not you. Deal in things that matter. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Take advice, but not orders. Let everybody around you be helpful, but then put that through your own mental computer and make sure what you do is the product of what you've concluded based on all the input. All of us should be students of inevitability.
I remember one day I was out on a run, and I was trying to enjoy myself because I was running on the balls of my feet, dancing along. And a fellow came up behind me who was running on his heels. He was jogging. And he was going clump, 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 clump. I said to him, what's the matter with you? You're running on your heels. And you're jarring your whole body all the way through. Okay, but he stuck to it, and he became the champion long-distance runner of the school. But he didn't enjoy it. It was work. And all he enjoyed was the suffering that he endured that made him feel that he had really contributed to the human race because he suffered so much. He identified his existence and his worth with his suffering.
Without kidding myself, if I keep up my current daily practices, where will it take me in 10 years without being disillusioned? I got to learn to look into the future called inevitable. I don't want to just cross my fingers and walk the wrong road.
sometime in the development of man, maybe 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, we developed self-consciousness in a peculiar way. We began to realize that by directed thought, we could control our environment. And then it was, you see, that we had a sense of responsibility.
Pessimism, the deadly disease of always looking on the bad side, the problem side, the difficult side, checking all the reasons why it can't be done. The poor pessimist leads an ugly life. Don't ask for security, ask for adventure. Better to live 30 years full of adventure than 100 years safe in the corner. And see, it's not important how long you live. What's important is how you live.
We forget that we create the situation. Then we give our power away by blaming the other person for our frustration. No person, no place, and no thing has any power over us, for we are the only thinkers in our mind. We create our experiences, our reality, and everyone in it. When we create peace and harmony and balance in our mind, we will find it in our lives. The neck and throat are fascinating because so much stuff goes on there. The neck represents the ability to be flexible in our thinking, to see the other side of a question, and to see another person's viewpoint. When there are problems with the neck, it usually means we are being stubborn about our own concept of a situation. Virginia Satir, the brilliant family therapist, says she did some silly research and found that there are more than 250 different ways to wash dishes, depending on who is washing and the equipment used. If we are stuck in believing there is only one way or one viewpoint, then we are shutting out most of life. The throat represents our ability to speak up for ourselves, to ask for what we want, to say I am, etc. When we have throat problems, it usually means we do not feel we have the right to do these things. We feel inadequate to stand up for ourselves. Sore throats are always anger. If a cold is involved, then there is mental confusion too. Laryngitis usually means you are so angry you cannot speak. The throat also represents the creative flow in the body. This is where we express our creativity. And when our creativity is stifled and frustrated, we often have throat problems. We all know many people who live their whole lives for others. They never once get to do what they want to do. They are always pleasing mothers or fathers or spouses or lovers or bosses. Tonsillitis and thyroid problems are just frustrated creativity, not being able to do what you want to do. The energy center in the throat, the fifth chakra, is the place in the body where change takes place. When we are resisting change, or are in the middle of change, or are trying to change, we often have a lot of activity in our throats. Notice when you cough or when someone else coughs. What has just been said? What are we reacting to? Is it resistance and stubbornness? Or is it the process of change taking place? In a workshop, I use coughs as a tool for self-discovery. Every time someone coughs, I have that person touch their throat and say out loud, I am willing to change, or I am changing.